Hey everybody, welcome to this week's live stream. I hope you're all doing good. So I'm back from paradise, 10 pounds heavier probably, but I'm happy to be back in the shop. So today we're going to be turning up one of those glow in the dark pens. So a couple weeks ago, many weeks ago at this point, we cast some of the eye candy glow powder as well as some of the neon powder from eye candy. And I was really happy with how these turned out. We got pretty good swirling patterns, it looks like. Everything turned out really cool on these things. We'll have to see on the insides. That'll be kind of the interesting thing about these. And that's why I chose these over the other ones that were just the three glow powders. Glow powders are really heavy. And so a lot of times it's really hard. It's difficult to get them to like swirl without just sinking to the bottom. So it's really difficult if you're just like, if you have like glow powder and then you're mixing just like dyed resin with it, or even with just mica powders. A lot of times it's kind of hard to keep it, like floating, let's say, without it just kind of sinking to the bottom. So I'm really curious to see how we did on these. The nice thing is that the neon powder, we kind of messed around with that a little bit. We added a little bit of alcohol to it to make it a little bit thinner and mix in better. I don't think that really had any, effect on how it would swirl or anything like that, but it is a little bit kind of thicker powder, or I don't know, chunkier kind of. It's hard to mix in. And so hopefully we got some good results. What we're going to do is turn a cigar style pen today. So we got our two pieces here. Actually, I need to make a mark on these. I think it'll be easy to line it up, but let's see here. I had it, it's like this. So let's get on the camera there. So I got a little purple mark going right here, and it matches up with this little dot. So I need to make a mark on the inside of the tubes. Let me go get a Sharpie real quick, and we'll do that before I forget. If I can find a Sharpie. There we go. Sharpie time. So this is my little trick of if you got a two-part pen. So I'm just going to leave this kind of sitting there. I'm going to pull my two little poppers out, and I'm going to put a mark on the inside lined up with this little purple line. And I just put a black Sharpie mark on the inside of the tube. You can't really mark the outside. You could maybe do like the side. Sometimes I've actually had this like kind of wear off, but you could kind of put it like right there, where it's kind of on the side and in the tube area. But I like to just kind of put it on the inside. And then, let's see here, it lines up with, did I do that right? I suppose it could go like that too. I think it goes like this, pretty sure. I don't think it's really gonna matter on this one. I think we can just kind of eyeball it and pick whatever looks best when we line the two pieces up. But it's always good to have a reference point to start out with. Whoa. We got our marks. We can get these guys back in. So again, it's going to be a cigar style. I just went with a chrome plating for the cigar kit. And I got this at Turner's Warehouse, as I usually do. They got all these things. They got tons of, this is one of my favorite kits. I like the cigar style because they have so many different options, and it's just a 10 millimeter. You only need one drill bit for both sides. It's just a good kit, cheap kit, but it looks good. They look, it's a ballpoint, ink, but it looks, you can make them look just as good as any rollerball kit. So that's all of our little kit pieces. I'm going to move those out of the way for now. Once we start assembling, I'll have things lined up and all that. But I got a couple of cool things to talk about. So I went to Hawaii. That's why we didn't have a stream last week. And one thing that was cool is I actually met up with a customer over there. So Lou, if he's watching, thank you for meeting up with us. But he also hooked me up with a super awesome chunk of koa wood. It is a beaut. It's like a curly koa. And so it's got a little bit of that kind of oh shoot, I can't think of it. The sapwood lining it, which sometimes, for furniture, sometimes people don't like that. I think it's pretty cool for pens. So we got a little bit of sapwood to work with, and then we got, just some beautiful grain. I don't know if the curl, yeah, you can kind of see the curl in it. it just kind of, I think this thing's gonna pop. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna cut some of this up, actually. It's kind of tough because this is a really nice board, but I think I want to cut it up, and then we're going to kind of, you know, cast some, you know, resin around it. It's going to be pretty cool. It's been a long time since I cast any koa. So big thank you to Lou. Again, we had a great time. We met up, we had some lunch at one of his favorite places on Maui. And it turned out to be just an amazing lunch, number one, but also the location was really cool. It was an old plantation. And so we actually took some time and kind of looked around that, which it didn't pop up on our radar for things to do anyway. So it was something extra that we could kind of check out. And like I said, the company was great. He was awesome. So it was a fun trip, relaxing. We didn't do a whole lot of stuff. Sometimes when we go to like on a vacation or something like that, you know, you like plan like every second of your life. And this time we were like, we are so busy and tired right now that it's just time to chill kind of thing. So it was pretty fun. The only thing I don't like, and I don't know how people from the East Coast make it to Hawaii, because it's like a 6-hour flight, which I just, at this point, I don't like flying. 6 hours from the West Coast, I can't even imagine flying from the East Coast. That just, it'd be exhausting. But luckily, I don't live on the East Coast. So who do we got here? Let's see. It looks, according to my thing, Kim was here first. Then we got Mark and Cheryl's here. And Lucy's here. How's it going? And Tony. Nice. Sarah just showed up. Cool. And Lilia's here too. Nice. All right, so let's head over to the lathe. I don't think there's anything else. Oh, I do have, if anybody is interested, I do have three extras of these pen blanks that if anybody wants them, just shoot me like an email or I don't know, let me know in the chat, I guess, also. But let me know, and I'll just send you an invoice through my website. So like I said, 3 of them left. And let's see here. And like I said, I have links to the glow powders and tools and stuff that I'm using, as well as the kits, the cigar style kits, in the description of this video. So let's switch over to the lathe cam. It's kind of super zoomed in right now. We'll fix that. So glow powders are pretty like abrasive. They're kind of hard on your tools. So when, you know, I don't really like pouring glow powders in square blocks because you have to cut all the blanks out and it just wrecks your saw blades. So just be aware of that. It's a little better when you're just cross-cutting something like this, but I mean, even it kind of, you can kind of tell that it's a pretty abrasive material. And so it's also going to be abrasive on your turning tools as well. Let's see here. Let me just see what we're doing. I'm going to start this way. I'm going to start with this one. This is kind of like the grip side. So the nib would be here. You know, the ink, and then this is kind of where it meets up in the center. So we'll start there. Let's see. I'm going to set this aside. Yeah, like that. And we're turning between centers, so I got a dead center in the headstock. I got a live center that rotates in the tailstock, and then these are turning between, you know, the TBC style bushings. These actually are made by tbcbushings.com. Brian over there, he makes some really good ones made in the USA. But I find it to be a little bit, I like turning this way. The downside is you can only turn one blank at a time. You can't do the you know, both of them. But because you're working, you know, you're between centers rather than on a mandrel. Mandrels tend to wobble and stuff, and it makes things more difficult, I find. I never had good results with even using the tailstock, you know, so like the mandrel saver things and all that. This is my favorite way to do it, but you can do it either way. Let's see, I got to open up the YouTube app so I can see the chat. See what you guys are talking about. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, I don't think I missed anything. Put my phone up there so I can see it. I'm going to turn the dust collector on. It's going to be a little loud, but keeps me from having to wear a mask the whole time. And it pretty much keeps all the dust out of my face, so that's always a good thing. Crack this open. And I'm going to be using the Easy Wood Tools carbide. So again, we were talking about these are abrasive. I would recommend going with just carbide on these, just because you're not going to have to sharpen after like every, you know, we really loaded up the powder in this, so it's going to be a fairly abrasive turn, I think. And I think you're just better off grabbing carbide because you're not going to have to sit there and sharpen it all the time. That's good. Let's see here. Turn on the dust collector. That thing's rolling. Hit the lathe. Fire it up. I haven't turned anything for so long, feels like. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to know how to do it. It's like riding a bike. All right, so I'm going to stop this. Maybe we can get a little bit of a quick look at the swirl patterning. So it looks like we got some different colors. Oh, we added some starlight glitter to this one. I forgot about that. But it looks like we got like all the colors kind of everywhere. It's looking good so far. It's turning quite well. Kid Cooper, what's up? Things are going good. Right here, anyway. Hey, how's it going, David? Checking in from the UK. Cool. So, I'm trying to remember now which colors are which. So, what did we use? I know the green, which I don't see a whole lot of green in this, but the green is one of the neon colors, as well as the orange, I think. A little bit of green here and there, I think. I think the yellow, purple, and maybe a red. Yellow, purple. What was the other color that we used? Oh, pink. Yellow, purple, and pink. Those ones are the glow powders. Just finished turning a few. Nice. That's cool. I think that's the coolest part about live streams. Some people are actually in their shop working while they like listen or watch. I think that's pretty fun. Got a little bit of that starlight glitter in here. That's kind of cool looking. I think once we polish it up, it'll pop out even more. Alright, so I'm going to stop it one more time. We're getting pretty close to the final dimensions. I'm going to get you guys a kind of a sidelong view here so you can see the color patterning. How that's turning out. Might be kind of blown out a little bit. Turn the light down. Stop bouncing. So we got pretty good swirling, it looks like. But like I said, the glow powders, the 3 different glow powders, they're going to swirl up quite well anyway. And most of the colors in here, there is some orange. They're kind of smaller wisps of orange. Well, there's a little bit in there. But you got, you know, this yellow is definitely glow powder. Purple. And then we had a pink, which might be some of these colors here, actually. So we'll have to also see, because it depends on how you pour these, because I might have poured, I think I remember pouring it where we kind of dumped a decent amount of like one color at the beginning, possibly. So, and I'm not sure which end of the blank this is, you know, the pour. But it's looking good. I think you're best off mixing, trying to stick with just mixing glow powders to make sure that you don't get any, so they don't just like go to the bottom of your casting, you know. If you want to be the safest. Still got a ways to go here. A late bite to eat, nice. Oh, cutting boards. Oh, they're okay. Not the most exciting thing, but better than yard work. a little rusty, I'm gonna be honest. Oh, it's in the front and center of the new house. Nice. That's awesome. A couple shop pencils. That's cool. Thick lead. Yeah, nice. Shredded money and gold flake blank. Nice. Oh, cool. Gold brick nib. Nice. Nice. Bring in the money. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh yeah, Campbell's Retreat. That's. Oh, that already happened. I forgot about that. That's cool. Yeah, that's a good time. Ron does a good job, and all the other folks that come to that. All right, I'm going to switch over to the square cutter. And actually, I need to rotate this one because it's a little bit dull. I remember last time I used it. Oh, Bach nib, okay. I was like, what's a gold brick nib? I haven't heard of that, but it sounds kind of cool. I was going to go and look it up on the internet. All right, I just find that the square R2 negative rake, a lot of times I can kind of get it smooth, take smooth passes with it. I don't know why it's any different for me, but I just tend to be able to kind of smooth the blank out. And you could just use the square cutter, you know, from start to finish, if you find that you like it better. I kind of find that I like the circle, you know, the round one tends to be able to take more off, so I can usually kind of speed through the first parts a little bit quicker. Okay, I think that's pretty good. We can stand this puppy up. So let's see here. I'm gonna go get. I've been using the Gold Flex, Mirka's Gold Flex Soft for the first step of 400. I'm just kind of finding that it's got a soft back, like a sponge kind of thing. So I've kind of switched over to that. I started using it on the kitless pens. I got the tip to use it, heard about it basically from Jim Hines. So I thought, oh, I'll give it a shot. But the paper is kind of made like this. The grit on this is actually kind of made for finishing projects, to deal with finishes and things. And so it works pretty good. It doesn't clog up too bad as long as you kind of clear it often. But it cuts well, and it kind of leaves it smoother. I don't know. It's not like it's significantly better than Abernet or anything, but the thing I like about it is the sponge back. I think I have pretty heavy fingers when it comes to sanding sometimes. And so this kind of keeps me from like pressing too hard. And like I said, the paper just kind of works pretty well for resins and CA and all that kind of different stuff. I think I'm going to need to take another pass with the tool because I got kind of a little chatter mark kind of thing going on, and I could sit here all day with 400 grit, and I don't know if it's going to get it out. I'm just going to try and lightly take it out with the tool. And then we'll come back and let me take a look at it, see what we got. You want to make sure that your first grit, you've gotten all the tool marks out and it's looking really good. Otherwise, you're just going to keep sand, you'll sand it smooth, but all those problems, or whatever, bumps and stuff are going to still be there. So it's not going to look good when you try and polish it up if you don't get this first step done right. All right, now we're starting to look pretty good. I need to get some. Put some better glasses on so I can actually see. Got a little bit more work to do here. The first step. It's pretty good to, you don't need to pull out a microscope or anything, but it's good to give it a good look. And just make sure that the surface is nice and smoothed out and everything's looking good. Not a significant amount of scratches and all that. Mark, what's up? Checking in. What's up, man? And I think it's a good idea to do both directions. Maybe you don't have to do both directions. The way I do it is I usually, just like that, I'll run the lathe, and sand, and then I stop and I do the lengthwise. I do it with the same grit. You could probably get away with just on the next grit, do it this way, but I just think that you're creating a cross grid pattern of scratches rather than just continually radial, the same direction kind of. And on plastics, it's kind of important to make sure that you're getting all the surface. And it doesn't take a lot. You don't want to press hard or anything like that, but just give it a few seconds going lengthwise. There's no grain, but it'd be like similar to finishing with the grain in a sense on a piece of wood. And it just kind of, on plastics, like I said, you're creating more of a grid pattern. And one other thing that I heard somebody, I don't know who it was, but somebody mentioned that what can also happen is your 400 grit, the grit particles can kind of get just stuck in those same grooves. And so by doing it the opposite direction, like a perpendicular direction, you're making sure that you're getting the entire surface. So I really do think that's kind of one of the secret tips to getting really good results. And I'm not putting a finish on or anything. We're just going to polish this up. But when you're doing stuff with resins or even like finishes, you know, it's like a solid surface rather than wood that has grain. And I think it's important to do that kind of cross grain scratch, you know, pattern. And I'm just wiping that off with a little bit of denatured alcohol. You could just use water probably, that'd be fine. I don't really have water sitting around that's clean. And then now we're gonna move on to the wet sanding. And I do a pretty simple polishing method. I don't really, you know, the biggest thing that is gonna be like individual is where you start. And 400 grit, as long as you got the surface pretty good with the tool, you don't have a bunch of divots and all that kind of stuff. It's fairly smooth off the tool. Then 400 grit's fine to start with. And then from there, I go to my Zona papers. This one's somewhere in like this 700 range or something like that, grit. And then gray. And then actually blue as well. I just use those 3 Zona papers. And then we just go to the magic juice. Juice is loose. That stuff's great. Let's see here. Let me scroll down here and see what's happening. If I tried using the foam-backed paper for wet sanding, no. You could. I mean, you could wet sand with that. Here's my thing. I'm just really lazy, and I don't want to add water to that first step generally, because then you can't really see the scratches or the surface very well. So every single time I'd have to wipe it off, and so it's just laziness. Generally, you're better off wet sanding, you know, with plastics and stuff like that. So if you want to wet sand, the other thing is you don't have the dust issue. You know, so there's a lot of reasons to wet sand. I'm kind of lazy and I don't want to have to, you know, wipe it off every single time. So I just try to, and typically, like I said, I usually can get away with just doing dry sanding with the 400, and then, you know, moving on to the wet sanding with the Zona papers. And I think that you're best off wet sanding with these are technically what they would call a polishing paper instead of like a sandpaper. They have a very dense, you know, packing of particles. And so things load up in polishing papers like this, you know, the material, the swarf, whatever, the dust, it'll load up pretty quick. And so you really want to have it wet, so it's keeping that surface clear. No, I'm just good at talking. But I'm glad that you made it out today. Try to share any little things that I've learned along the way. There's so many little, I don't know, a lot of times I just talk and, you know, any thoughts that come, just because, and I'm not saying that you have to follow every thing that I say, but sometimes the more things that you randomly hear, if you learn one thing out of like 35, you know, that you might try in your own shop, it might be worth it. It could be the difference between, you know, struggling, especially when it comes to like finishing things, polishing stuff. That's hard sometimes, you know, to get those perfect results. A lot of times those types of things can be hard, and a lot of times there's so many different ways to do it or things to think about that I just kind of try to talk about whatever I can think of that has helped me along the way. But yeah, you should be able to, you know, wet sand with that foam back stuff. It should be fine. The one thing I am thinking about doing is actually buying, I have 400. The problem with that stuff is you have to buy quite a bit of it. I'm not sure that you can buy small, like, I don't know, maybe there are smaller packages. I just didn't really want to go that way. I bought it's a pretty big roll, but like you're never going to run out of it. So I don't know how much is in here, but for pen blanks, I mean, I'm never going to run out of this thing. Look at this box. It's like that much. I guess there's that much left. And I just, it comes out, you know, it's like a kind of a roll thing. And then you just tear off a square, and then I actually cut these into these little strips. And so, I mean, this stuff would last a lifetime pretty much. Like, I'm probably never going to have to buy this again. Or if I do, it's going to be many years from now. Oh, I suppose I should turn the camera back onto the action, huh? Just stepped up to the plate and kept going. So does anybody have any good plans for the 4th of July this year? Doing anything fun or interesting or? Barbecues. We're not really doing anything. We're moving next week, so, or well, I guess it's the week after, but we're moving into a house pretty soon here, and that's pretty much taking up all of our time. All right, that ought to be good. I think I've polished that to death. And then again, I like to do the lengthwise light pressure. You don't want to, you don't want to press really hard doing this. It just kind of, like I said, gives it that kind of cross hatch that I think is useful. Now, one thing that I don't do that could be done, and I don't know how, I don't know. I don't see a problem with the way I do it, but I don't change my water between these polishing papers. That could be, you know, if you're having problems or something like that, that might be something to try, is to just make sure that you have a different water cup for every grit of sandpaper that you're using. Because the problem is some little grit particles could come off in that water. And then, you know, I'm trying to sand with this 1100 grit, but there's little particles that are like 700. And so you're really not making headway, you know. That's the theory. I don't know how much of this stuff breaks off like a normal traditional sandpaper. So I don't know. I haven't necessarily seen a great need to switch the water, but some people definitely do that. And I would recommend doing that if you're using like traditional sandpaper, because the way it works, the little particle, you know, it's got a bunch of little particles on it, and they break off and expose a fresh kind of edge, let's say, quite a bit. And so you're kind of breaking these particles off that may or may not be, you know, 400 grit or, you know, whatever grit you're using, but that can contaminate and get in there. And so that's why it's a good idea to wipe off in between, you know, grits when you're sanding pretty much anything, even with wood. Trying a new pellet grill out. Sweet. Doug, what's up, man? Yeah, I know. We just got back from a vacation. We have no budget to do anything for the next long time. Oh, let's see here. Blowing it up. Going up north to Napanee. That's cool. 10 miles from Michigan. Packs of the different, well, I don't want to sell packs, stuff like that. But personally, but might have to talk to Chad and see if they might be interested in carrying the Gold Flex stuff. A lot of times when you got something like that, Turner's Warehouse is totally willing to bring in a product and, you know, offer it. Another thing is just like a finishing pack. Just they have some of those smaller packs of you know, different grits where so you don't have to buy, you know, it's got a bunch of, you know, sheets, little sheets of like maybe like 3 inches or so, you know, cut off things. So that's always a good thing if you're not really doing a lot of sanding, but you need all those grits. It's kind of, you know, you can look at it two ways. It's going to be a little cheaper to buy a pack of that stuff, and then you'll have it on hand, like a big pack. But if you don't really need a big pack, then it's nice to have those little packs of all the different grits. And Mirka is the same company that makes the Abranet. It's a good, reliable abrasives, high quality. And that's another thing. Don't buy like the super rock bottom, like dollar store sandpaper. That stuff is terrible. The glues that they use and the particles are not quality controlled, so you have no actual clue. If you, in some cases, people have done like independent testing on that, and like it's not even like 150 grit. It says 150 grit, but the particles are actually all over the place. So just highly recommend go buy decent 3M, Norton, Mirka, something, Klingspor, something that's a decent brand. Don't buy your sandpaper at Harbor Freight. That's not going to get you good results. It does make a difference. That is one area where it makes a difference for sure on quality. So the blue, I don't know what the blue is like. It's somewhere maybe around 1500 or something like that. You can see it's already kind of polished up. It's not looking good right now, but then when we hit it with this magic juice, the plastic polish stuff, oh man, this thing's gonna pop out at you. Pop! All right, let's see here. A couple drips on the lathe bed. We don't want that. All right, it's looking, I guess I could wipe that off too. Wipe the blank off. One thing I'd like to find out if I could, paper towels have some sort of an abrasiveness to them, especially these white ones. And I would love to know what the grit level is, because if you're trying to smear on, like apply a plastic polish that's like 10,000 grit, but your paper towel is like 5,000 grit, then it ain't gonna work. When I do the polishes, I use these the Scott blue shop towel stuff, because they are definitely less abrasive. My scientific testing is just by blowing your nose with it, and you can just feel this blue one is softer. But I really don't like using things that could get wrapped up on the lathe for applying stuff. Paper towels, these Scott towels rip, and I think these are a pretty good option, but I would love to know if I could figure out, how do you figure out what an abrasive level something is. Something weird like paper towels. Let's see, Mark's got family coming. Oh. Let's see here. Anne's here. What's up? Yeah, Klingspor is a good brand too. Yeah, the wet dry is pretty good. Yeah, a lot of people like the Novus. I've tried it. I didn't like it that much. I don't know. One of the problems for me is I've tried certain things many years ago when I first started, and if I did it again today, I might feel a little different about it because I do things slightly differently. But I'm not. The thing is, you could test every product on the planet out and just waste time with it. So if you find something that works, then I wouldn't really, as long as you're happy with the results, there's really no reason to change what you're doing, You can get caught up, a lot of people get caught up in this trying to find the best, thing. And if you're unhappy, then you need to kind of look and try some different stuff. But a lot of times people they're kind of chasing their tail, trying different products. But it's always good to try something every once in a while. This Magic Juice polish is pretty good, and you can get a cheap. Turner's Warehouse has like a $15 set, so it's a 6-step. There's 6 different ones, and they have like kind of a trial or whatever set that's like 15 bucks. So for 15 bucks, I mean, you know, it's not like you got to buy an entire buffing wheel setup or something like that. You know, that can get kind of expensive. I do like buffing wheels too, but this Magic Juice, for how simple it is and how cheap it is, really can't lose. I think I'm going to do this one again. Get the front of the blank. I didn't really get it spread too well. And you can do a couple, you know, applications if you wanted. Now again, light pressure. You don't need a bunch of pressure on this. Just let that grit stuff do the work. I'm running it like around 1500. You can go, I think they recommend like 2000. I find it kind of clumps up if it's going too fast. And I don't know. I don't think you need to go super fast with the speeds, personally. But just do whatever, you know, try a couple different speeds out. But I mean, after just step one, like I could literally walk away and be happy right there. I've seen some people's pens that they've spent hours and it's like that shiny. And we got 5 more steps to go. I mean, come on. Let's do it. I always find the number 2 seems like it's like stickier or something. Like it tends to want to wrap up the towel. So I do use a little bit of extra pressure with the number 2 step. It's the only one like that. I don't know what the deal is, but like it's thicker or something. That didn't go too bad that time. And I just find a clean spot. A lot of times I'll kind of fold it over. And I mean, it's like 10 to 15 seconds each step. I was hung up on, I'm like, 6 steps, good Lord. When I first heard about it. Because I was used to just, in my mind, I'm thinking like 2 buffing wheels. But number 1, you don't have to change over your lathe or have some buffing setup. You just leave the pen, you know, where it is. So that actually saves a lot of time. And then, you know, each step only takes like 10 seconds. So if that. So it really is actually faster than buffing wheels for me. And it was getting them shinier, which the one thing about that is you could add one more step to a buffing process. Because what I would do for buffing wheels is I had the Beal 3 on, which I never used the wax. I would do the Triple E, the white diamond, and that was it. And you could add one more step with a higher gloss polish. Wax isn't really polishing anything. I never liked that. And if you put wax on, a lot of times it'll you know, this is a pen that you're going to handle, and the oils in your skin breaks down the waxes a lot of times, and so it's not really the best combination. I don't like putting wax on pens. It tends to dull faster than if you just left it. And I don't find that you get dulling too much with the Magic Juice. It pretty much stays nice and pretty. But you could add like one more step, or like hit it with, you know, kind of the final step of Magic Juice or something like that, or a plastic polish, and that would probably bring it up higher. But again, you're adding another step there. So I was pretty impressed with the Magic Juice stuff. It's pretty good. Oh yeah, I don't know. I try to stay away from. I try to be as efficient as possible. You know, because I see a lot. Sometimes you see people's steps where they're like, I sand to like 4,000, and then I go to the buffing wheels, and then I go to a plastic polish, and you're like, man, you're just doing like the same grit levels over. You know, there's a lot of overlap in that. And so I always try to, you know, just go with a straight shot unless there's issues. You know, sometimes the one thing about triple E buffing wheels is a lot of times you can get out persistent scratches. Like Magic Juice isn't really going to get out like a persistent scratch. The triple E is a little bit more, you know, plus it's a different way of polishing. So it's not exactly like equivalent. You can't say that it's just, you know, abrasives. The buffing wheels themselves actually matter as well, the material, because they can actually buff the surface with that rouge, you know, in addition to. So you can actually kind of get out some, I'm able to get out some persistent scratches with buffing wheels. And so sometimes I will have to break down on something if it's like a, you know, I'm selling the pen and I want to make sure. Sometimes I'll go back and do it again, but you know, usually you should be able to pick a way of doing it, and you know, just use that method and those steps. It also depends on how good your eyesight is, because a lot of times you can be like, it's good enough. Don't put your glasses on. Everything looks fine. But here we go with our 6th step of Magic Juice. It is shiny. Now, this stuff is pretty abrasive, so this probably isn't going to get as shiny. If you really wanted this glow powder stuff to get super glossy, I think you would maybe have to put a finish on top. I'm fine with this. It's plenty glossy for me, but it is kind of an abrasive material. The glow powder is actually, you know, abrasive in there. So it probably wouldn't polish up as high as if you put, you know, a finish on top of it. But it's fine. I don't have any issues with this. It's looking pretty good. Zoom out a little bit. So we'll pop this guy off. Kind of give you the heads up here. Looking pretty good. I like the colors. And it glows in the dark. I mean, this maybe isn't the most interesting color combination on the planet for a pen blank, but number one, we can't see the tube. That's good. And I did use a white painted tube, or powder coated, I think. So there is, you know, painted stuff. If this was brass, you may be able to see through on some of this stuff. So I'd highly recommend using probably a white tube. Black might make it too dark. Maybe, I don't know. It would darken it more. White's going to keep it kind of bright if light does go through your glow powder stuff. But knowing that this is going to glow in the dark, I think that's pretty cool. So I think we should be able to shut the lights off. Let's see if we can do a little. It's not going to be the greatest because it's not going to be pitch black in here, but because we got lights on in the rest of the shop. But I can shut my lights off and we can kind of see what this is going to look like. Each of these glow powders glows a little bit of a different color. So that's one of the cool things. They have like the standard, you know, Eye Candy sells like the standard, you know, where it just looks milky white and it either turns like, you know, blue or green. But these ones they already look good. I'm going to hit this. So my eyes are picking up that some of this stuff is actually already glowing, but if you hit it with a UV light, charge it up a little bit. Look at that. I mean, it's glowing. It's pretty bright, but you're getting different colors of glow. That's what I like, is those Eye Candy ones. They look, you know, they look fine during the day. Those other ones, the white ones, those look terrible. It's just milky, ugly, yucky. But the Eye Candy ones, they look cool during the day, and then obviously these are looking pretty wicked at night. So there we have it. Glow in the dark pens, guys. That way you can never lose your pen. And I even find, you know, like you can put this stuff out in the sun and that'll charge it up pretty quick. You can use one of these lights. But to be honest, I mean, this thing these blanks kind of glow just by getting charged by like the fluorescent lights in the shop. I mean, you turn the lights off in here, if it's pitch black, like they'll glow. So let me stop real quick and see what's happening here. Oh, your housewarming present. Oh man. Let's see here, Tucson, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty warm here this weekend. It's been like amazing weather up here in Carson City, Reno, Tahoe area. It's like it's been cool, honestly, like fairly cool. Like stayed cool. We've had a lot of rain storms and stuff. And then this week, like today is the first day, and then over the 4th, it's going to be pretty warm for this area anyway. It'll be a little bit of a doozy. I'm not particularly looking forward to it. I'm going to be sweaty. That's all I'm going to say. It's going to be a sweaty time for the next week. But I do feel pretty lucky. We had a pretty massive winter, and I was worried that it was just going to flip-flop and be like 150 degrees, from like May until October. That would be the worst. But instead, we actually it's been weird weather this year up here. Okay, so this is the second part. And this is the middle of the pen, and then this will be with like the clip and the cap, or whatever, clip and finial, I guess you would call it, end of the pen. Oh yeah, the past couple days. Yeah, it's pretty intense. We you would still lose it. We put a lot of that powder in. I loaded these things up pretty good, and so I wanted them to glow pretty well. And that will change, depending on how much of that powder you put in. It'll be, brighter or less bright. But I think that the eye candy, stuff. I think the eye candy powders are pretty good, because you can even get some variability from one glow powder to another, putting equal amounts in an equal amount of resin. Some of them will be a little bit brighter than others. So these seem to be pretty decent, actually. All right, so let's fire up the dust collection. Get my tool out here. Let's go to town on this thing. Turn the speed up too. All right, Brian, have a good one, man. Yeah, San Francisco doesn't have very hot. It usually doesn't get too hot there. I think it's supposed to be up in the high 90s here today. That's pretty warm, especially at this elevation. Luckily, it's dry. It's only 18, 19. So let's see here. I figured out what the conversion is. It's divide by 2 and then add 32, I think, right? Or multiply by 2, subtract 32. I always get confused. It's like 40, is that like 72 Fahrenheit? Yeah, it's been cool. It's been like, I would say like very cool here most of the year. Like even when it thinks it's gonna get kind of warm, it's like, nope, we're gonna rain and cloud cover. So in this one, you get a lot more of that neon, that's the green and the orange. And I'm not sure, I'd have to go back and look at how we poured these. I'm not sure if, you know, if it settled to the bottom, you know, mostly with the glow powders. It's just, it's been a while, so I can't really remember how we poured these blanks specifically. $65. Oh, okay. $18.8. Huh. Oh, yeah, okay, so I was pretty close, right? I was like, because I upped it. I was like 20. I just doubled 20 basically to 40 and then added 32. Which would be 72. So I mean, I was way high. So it'd be like, let's say 18 times 2, which that's a little bit too high, I think. I think it's like 1.85 or I don't know, some weird number. But to simplify, I think if you multiply by 2 and then add 32, I think that's how it worked. Yeah, 80 is not too bad. I can handle that. I don't know, 75. Yeah, maybe like 80. 80 in a dry heat. Although whatever it was in Hawaii wasn't too hot. Actually, it was kind of hot, but Maui's like really windy. And so it didn't seem as hot as it actually was, because it was actually warmer than it typically is. I want to say it was like 85, maybe even into the 90s, like 85, 90. It's pretty hot when it's really humid to me. But the wind kind of cut that down quite a bit. So one thing about, you know, the abrasiveness of these, it tends to, like, you need to put a little bit more pressure, I'm finding, to get the tool to do what you want. Just one of my typical blanks, will usually cut a little bit quicker with this, but it's just like the tool does, it feels sluggish, the tool does. And it's not really taking a lot off. So just one thing to kind of keep in mind with these glow powders, they tend to be a little bit abrasive and may turn a little bit different than you may be used to with just a regular resin blank, you know. Keep hitting my head on the light, running into it. All right, that's looking pretty good. A little bit of nibbling to do at the bushings to get them nice and even. I think that's pretty good. Pretty smooth too. Did a little bit better on this one. The other one felt like it was kind of vibrating a little bit. It was kind of weird. I don't know why that was, but just give it one little pass with the square. I think we're ready. I'm going to stop it. We'll take a look at it. See what the pattern's doing. There we go. It's looking pretty good. Yep, that's looking good. Okay, let's sand this puppy. Over 300 pens sold. Nice. Way to go. 1.8, that's right. And add 32. Yak's here. What's up, man? Have a good one, Stefan. Okay, sanding time. Let's turn that speed down. Tool bump right in the middle. Rather than try and sand that out, I'm just gonna try and take one more quick pass here. See that line right there? Just it'll be a little easier, I think, if I can just kind of I don't know how well that worked, but hopefully I didn't make it worse. There we go. I think I mostly got that out. Do a little bit of lengthwise sanding here. It's still kind of there. It's weird. Okay. Now I think I got it. All right, that's looking good. Wipe that off. And we can turn the dust collector off now. That's nice. Do a little bit of wet sanding. One other thing to think about with the glow powder stuff is it is abrasive, and so you're probably going to want to grab a new piece of sandpaper. It's probably going to wear out your sandpaper a little quicker, and you're just better off. Again, sandpaper is not one of those things that you just really need to. Don't be cheap on it, you know. Just grab a new piece. It's a tiny little piece anyway. You upgraded the lathe. What did you get? What did you get? Yeah, it really makes a difference, you know, getting the height right on a lathe. Mine feels, so I added I'm like 6'4", so I did add the riser kit and the mobility thing and all that stuff on this lathe. And it seems like, I don't know, it just feels like too tall now to me. I don't know. I can't tell. I think it might be, it's close. I think I was just used to a really short lathe. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Do a little bit of this. wipe it off. We'll move on to the gray. Went for the Laguna 1216. Oh no. You went down, man. They were out of everything. That's cool. How do you like the Comet? Is that the, I don't know exactly what all the different models are, but I believe the Comets are more similar to, like my Comet, the Comet, whatever, 2, whatever, what's it called? Yeah, Comet Nova Comet 2. It's like a mini lathe. They call it a midi lathe, but that's marketing. It's pretty small and not very robust. It was fine, but you know, just compared to like a the Laguna 1216, that thing, like the bed is heavy and just a lot more robust. I think the new Comets are more like that, aren't they? You think you're shrinking now? That's fine. What did you have before? Coronet. I don't know which one that is. Coronet. Is that the mini, whatever? Coronet. Is that the small one? Coronet? I got Herald in my mind. I don't know all those. Oh, you had the Harbor Freight. Yeah, that's a good upgrade then. Harbor Freight's all right, but I think most people will say there's a pretty noticeable difference when you step up to something like, you know, that Comet, the 1216. That's a pretty hefty jump. I mean, even for me, if I went from that the Comet 2, which is really, you know, more similar to like all the mini lathes. Really, it's got a little bit of extra stuff here and there. It's got the variable speed and a couple things, but I mean it's pretty much a mini lathe. Just jumping up to a proper midi, is a pretty big jump. Quite nice. Yeah, I know. You can make some good money with the cheap tool. That's for sure. Ah, you got some easy wood tools. Nice. I like them. I've made my own carbide tools, and they were fine. They're okay. I just the fit and finish and everything. I mean, everything's just so nice with the easy wood tools. You pick one up. They work great. The cutters fit perfectly and everything. I've actually tried some that are like, manufactured ones where the carbide didn't even fit the tip very well. And you're just like, I mean, I could have done that, Pretty nice, pretty nice. They do a good job over there. Yeah, that's true, Lelia. There are some advantages. I think the Harbor. Well, it depends. There's a couple of different Harbor Freight ones. My biggest thing is there's no way I would use a lathe that didn't have variable speed. I really don't like changing belts. I really like the Laguna that I have now, which obviously you don't need a 24-inch swing lathe to turn pens. It's pretty overkill, but I wanted to be able to do anything that I wanted to, and now at this point I'm kind of reverting back to just focusing on pens. But sometimes it is kind of nice, and it's as long as you know the quirks and can figure out any issues where stuff, like I'm thinking, like now I'm into the kitless stuff, and you really do want to have things pretty locked down. Like you don't want to have any kind of flexion or anything like that, because you're trying to get pretty accurate, you know, threading and drill holes and all that stuff. And so that would be the only one thing that I would say. Some of the heavier ones, you know, can probably are a little bit tighter tolerances with the way things line up. The thing is, all you have to do though is you just need to know where the deficiencies are, because you can usually figure things out. Like the tailstock on a mini lathe, a lot of times that can be kind of problematic. They can just be like kind of all over the place and sometimes don't lock down the same. But if you do it the same way every time, that'll get you around, you know, that deficiency. But you know, even my lathe, which is, you know, it was pretty expensive and it's definitely heavy duty, you know, compared to like a metal lathe, like it's got a bunch of slop in it too. So, you know, we all have to do things to make sure that we're getting the most consistent and accurate results. It's just a matter of knowing your lathe kind of thing. Because you can pretty much do just about it. I mean, I've seen tons of people do things that I didn't even know were possible on a Harbor Freight lathe. So just a matter of knowing the tool and how to get it to do what you want. All right, so what am I doing? We already wet sanded. Now it's time to do, I need some blue towels. That's what I need. Focus. I gotta focus on things here. All right, so just to let everybody know, so next week, the live stream should be on. However, we are going to be moving 2 days after that day. So I'm going to say the live stream should be good to go. It shouldn't cause any issues, but if something funky happens with our move, I may have to cancel next week's stream, just to let you know. I don't foresee any problems. I'm just throwing it out there. If it's canceled, something happened that I had to take care of before the move. You know, for the move. But we've done a pretty good job of kind of getting on top of things, and like we're halfway moved in already. It's just, you know, all the stuff that we actually need to live is still in our apartment. All right, so I'm going to crank that up. So this is step 1 with the magic juice. Kind of loaded that up, so take a couple seconds to get through all this. Not a problem though, it's just polishing it up. I'm always blown away, like literally the results after just step 1. I'm like, dang, that's pretty good. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right. Step 2. Yeah, I know. I couldn't handle one of those, you know, like the lathes where you have to change. It has like 7 speeds, and you have to change the belt to change any speed at all. I could not. There's no way. It would drive me absolutely nuts. I mean, I didn't even like the 3 belts with variable. I was like, just give me a variable speed lathe. With this Laguna and the 1830, so like once you step up to like a full-size lathe, generally at that point you've got typically 2 speeds, and like one of them is super low for like bowl turning and like really heavy things. And so you can basically just leave it on the high setting, and you got, you know, your full range of speeds. And so that's a luxury. I love it though. Well, see, number 2, it always grabs, and this is exactly why you don't want to be using like a cotton rag, because if that did that, it would probably grab my fingers, pull them into the lathe, and I would be crying on a live stream, which nobody wants to see that. just kind of once it starts to get a little, it's like stickier than the other ones. No, there's nothing wrong with it. I don't even need to redo it. It's just you gotta watch that number 2. I'm telling you, it'll get you. That's why I use paper towels, guys, because I like my fingers. Let's see here. This thing hasn't been keeping. Yeah, that's my comment is a buffer too. Tell you what, I'm actually seriously considering buying one of the Record Power Mini, whatever the small one is. I don't know. I might have missed that comment. Is that the Coronet? Or the Herald? Or there are 3 of them? I don't even know. Just because it's like super simple and might be part of the reason why I'm thinking about getting a different mini lathe is I might actually set one up at home now. Possibly. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen. The problem is I really don't want to, I don't like having like, I don't want to get 2 sets of tools, so probably not going to happen, but I've considered it anyway. Or the Laguna. I like the Laguna 1216 as well. Lou, what's up, man? We had a great vacation. Thank you. And again, thank you for meeting up. At the beginning of this, I showed off that awesome piece of koa that you gave me. So we'll be, I want to stabilize that. I'm going to cut it into kind of smaller chunks. And then we'll do some casting on the stream with it. Gotta kind of watch out. Now that it's starting to warm up, you got to kind of watch your temperatures when you're stabilizing stuff. If it gets too hot, it'll cure. The cactus juice will cure in the cylinder. So I might want to do that. I'll have to watch the temperatures, but we'll get on that soon. You bought some ShamWows? That's hilarious. Oh man. Yeah, Record Power. I when I was down in Phoenix this last time for that, I was taking kind of a class with Chad on kitless pens, and I did the turning portion, you know, like not the threading stuff. We did the threading on the pen that I made on his metal lathe because I also wanted to get some, you know, a little education on metal lathes. So we did all the threading and drilling and all that kind of stuff on the metal lathe. Plus that just kind of makes sense. It's more accurate. If you're going to do both, you know, that's how you would do it. But anyway, I turned the pen parts on both the Laguna and the Record Power. They didn't have is it the Coronet? What is, I keep saying that. I think the Coronet, I got to look this up. I gotta look it up, guys. Hold on. Just so I see that way I know what I'm talking about and I'm not saying the wrong things. Oh, it's Coronet Herald. Okay, so it's the same thing. Yeah, that's the one that I was looking at. So it's pretty small. So they didn't have any of those in store. So I have turned on one of those before though. I did when I did the demos at Maker Central for Easy Wood Tools, they had a Coronet, Herald, whatever. It was great. It was a pretty nice lathe, and I was actually turning something pretty big. Like those things can handle quite a bit. You know, it's a pretty decent option. One thing to let you guys know also, I don't know if this is insider trading or whatever, but they're trying to get, I don't know if the prices now are already in line. They're trying to get them down to 1,000 on those. Record Power is. So if you're in the market for one of those, I would wait, because they want to be, because like the Laguna, I think is like, it's like $9.99 or whatever. And there's a lot of those middies that are like right at that $1,000 mark. And from what I understand, Record Power is trying to get the Coronet down to 1,000. I don't know if this is just like a Turner's Warehouse thing, or I don't think so. I think like across the board. Oh, look at that. You got a picture. I went to turnerswarehouse.com, and Amy's, she modeled one of the face shields. That's fun. New product. Let's see here. Tools, machines. There we go. Power tools, lathes. I'm just going to look on. Oh, it's down to $11.99 right now. The Herald. But I do think they're trying to get them even lower, because that's like a sale. I think they're just trying to get them to like 1,000. So keep your eyes peeled on that if you're looking for one of the Heralds. Because I think that's a pretty good deal. So what I was turning on is the, oh, I don't know, whatever, the big one, because they only have two. That's what I thought. Record Power's got a larger one, a couple options in the larger, but that large one is pretty nice too. I was impressed with it. It's a pretty good lathe. But I also use the Laguna 1216, and I like that lathe a lot too. It felt like mine though. Also, you know, there's a little bit of that. I'm a little used to Laguna anyway, so it kind of just felt like I was on a smaller version of mine. But to be honest, I mean, I haven't actually used a lathe. Okay, the only lathe, and I'm going to put big air quotes on this, the only lathe that I've used that I did not like was the Shopsmith. That's what I had first, and that was a terrible lathe. When I got the Comet 2, I was like, oh my God, this is like a Cadillac. Because that thing, that Shopsmith was terrible. The tailstock you could not lock the tailstock down. It moved and stuff. And I'm like, I don't know why I can't do a CA finish. It's because the blank's moving all over the place. Why isn't it round? Why is it oblong? You know? So that's not a good lathe. That's looking pretty snazzy. Let's see what this one looks like. So all the green and the orange are gonna not be glow in the dark on this one. So let's turn the lights down low and see what we got here. Let's see, where did I put that flashlight? There it is. Let's see what this looks like now. We'll do this once we assemble the whole pen too, but I think it's kind of fun just to get a sneak peek, you know. All right, so I'm holding this thing up so you can see. One indication is, I mean, like it probably won't even show up, you know, right away. Like it's not even, like you can see some reflection from the bushings, but it's not glowing at all. Let me hit it with the light. See what we got. Yeah, so there's areas that glow and areas that don't glow. All the neon areas don't glow, so that's kind of cool. But it does kind of look like it's sunk. I don't know. We're gonna have to go back and look. Yeah. So just again, so you can kind of see what it looks like. The green is definitely, that's the UFO green. Oh, I almost dropped it. You can see where it's not going to show up, and then I don't know, the orange should be, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between pink and orange. But let's see, let's turn the light off again. And we'll hit this. So you can actually, it's glowing at the top a little bit still. Interesting. There's a little bit. Bottom. So it might have sunk mostly on this still. I'm going to have to go back and look. So like next week we'll talk about it. I'm going to go back and look and see how we poured this, because I might have just done it intentionally and said, well, I don't think I did that. I wanted to see if it would actually mix, I believe. But either way, it looks pretty cool. Let's see here. The other one. All right, so we're going to go get set up for assembly. First, I'm going to see what you guys are saying. I don't think there's a smaller one than the Coronet. Or at least, well, at least... Okay, so yeah, there's Regent. Technically, they call this Envoy, but it's the same lathe. I think it's like just the 220 version or something like that. Let me just go to recordpower.com. That way we can make sure. Oh, what's this? Products. Yeah. Okay, yes, use cookies. Oh, there is a smaller one. Okay, well I wouldn't buy those ones. I would go with the Coronet Herald. Well, okay, so Coronet is in all of these names. Oh, and they even have a bigger one. We got a heavy duty Maxi 1M33. Wow. But so out of the kind of in the middle size, so the Coronet shaped ones, they kind of have a specific shape. There's one, the DML 250. Actually, I think I can show you guys on my screen. Let's stop messing around here. How do I do that? Desktop. Window capture. Here we go. I'm going to make this bigger. Oh, did I break it? Oh, okay. So there's this DML 250. I wouldn't mess around with that. These three. The Coronet Herald. It's got more capacity and it's got more power and all that stuff. So that one's a pretty nice one for like what I would consider like a MIDI lathe. And then they got this Maxi 1M33. That thing's a tank. I haven't even seen one of those before. But all these, see, there's Coronet, Envoy, Regent, and Coronet Herald. So let's just call it Herald. And really, the difference, I think, between Envoy and Regent is just one's like a 220, one's a 110 or something like that. It's not, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference between those two. But yeah, the little Herald, it's pretty good. But I was using one of these. I don't know which one they have set up. The Envoy, I think it's an Envoy is what they have in their shop at Turner's Warehouse. And that thing was pretty nice. I like that quite a bit. So anyway, doesn't really matter. I'm a big fan of like pretty much any lathe. I like a lot of different lathes, realistically. I'm a big fan of the Lagunas. I think that Laguna found like this like happy medium. Like they offer a ton of features, and the price tag on these things is like extremely reasonable. You know, it's got a lot of features that you could compare to like the Powermatics, which those things are just expensive, you know, and they're not particularly that like. When I was looking at a full-size lathe, I mean, for the money, the Lagunas just beat out everything. Now, I did start with the another company that's pretty good, but at this point, I personally can't recommend them, is Nova. I've had so many problems with Novas at this point that I just personally, a lot of people love them, and you know, like Jake's is great and all that stuff, but I mean, I've had 3 machines that sucked, and I don't like it. I love their motors, but the other thing I don't like about Nova is, now Jake's, whatever, I don't know which one he has, but the ones that I had, the fit and finish a lot of times on Novas is just junk. Like the legs and stuff and the casting and all that stuff, it's terrible looking. It's not the paint job and all that. I also have is it the Voyager drill? Yeah, Voyager drill press. And I love the DVR motors. It's the greatest thing on the planet, but the rest of the machine, it's like they have no thought about any other part of it. It's just junky, I feel. I wish I would have bought the Powermatic drill press at this point, because within like months, I had to replace the entire electrical board on that lathe, and I'm just like, I've had problems with Nova. So, but I loved the Comet. You know, that was a great lathe. And you know, like Doug, you know, over at Pole Barn, he loves his. He's got the Galaxy, I think. That's what I had. But I got 2 lathes in a row that had what turned out to happen. What the problem was on these things. So my nose cone, the headstock was overheating, and they kept saying that it was my fault, or that it was in normal temperature. I'm like, it's like 180 degrees. Like, I'll burn myself if I touch the the surrounding area by the bushings on the headstock. And then it finally, after like a year later, and finally I just returned it and said, no thanks. But like a year later, it turned out they had the wrong size bearing, like spindle bearings. The bearing itself wasn't the right size. That's why they were overheating, because I wasn't the only person that had that problem. And so that happened to 2 lathes in a row. They sent me 2 totally new lathes, and then this drill press. I'm just like, whatever. Not super excited about it. I'm missing a part. Yeah, I think I'm missing a part. I need the transmission thing. Huh. Hold on. Can't ink it up without a transmission. Well, let's just go with... I'm just going to go with a slightly different kit. I don't know what exactly is going on with this one. Why I took that out of there. Okay, so let's turn this up here and zoom in. Okay. All right, so we're gonna break open a brand new one. There we go. That one's got all the parts. I think I don't know. I'm guessing I took the transmission out. Like I needed to replace it on some other kit or something like that, but I don't know for sure. So I'm just going to get me a new kit and not worry about it. There we go. I can't see what's happening here. Let me go back to there we go. There's the stream. Okay. Dominic's here. What's up, man? Yeah, I did like the rotating headstock, but but I couldn't trade in the overheating. I've been very happy with the Laguna. That's what I did, because I had the Nova Galaxy, and the Laguna, you know, either 1836 or 2436 is pretty similar, and I've been quite happy. Like it was surprisingly good. I've had no problems with that. The only issue that I did have, I actually jacked up the spindle bearing. I messed up the spindle bearing on that one too, but this was actually my fault. I was turning HDPE for something. Did you guys see the colored pencil project that I did? The like pencil pot thing. So I turned this like huge piece of HDPE that took up space in the middle of the blank. It was like this super crazy thing that held pencils in a certain array and did all this stuff. And I was turning HDPE, but that stuff is so stringy, like it doesn't, you know, like normal ribbons like rip, like even like Alumilite shavings and stuff, they just break. But HDPE doesn't break. It's like super stringy, like tough, you know, so it doesn't tear. And what happened was I was getting the shavings like wound up on the spindle and then actually ripped the bearing, the spindle, like cut into the spindle bearing. I was like, oh my God. So my suggestion is don't turn HDPE. That's something that's better for CNCing. Okay, so we got our, let's see here. This goes like this. And this goes like this. And this. Okay. Oops. Now, I don't think it matters how we line this up. I did put marks. So technically it would line up like this. And that's fine. I think I'll follow my marks, but I don't think it would really matter that much how you line this blank up on the kit. Or I mean the two blanks up. Okay. I think we're going to have some issues with this one. Sometimes those powder coated tubes, yeah, that's going to be, can sometimes be a little bit tight. We got it. Like if there's powder coating on the inside, sometimes that can cause some issues. There we go, got that piece. And we'll drop the, let's see here, we need the spring, ink, and the transmission. Okay. Oof. Really got to press on these. But we got it. All right, now let's, oh, I didn't even look at how these things are supposed to line up. So I did notice that there was kind of almost a line. Okay, so I totally screwed up and didn't look at where those marks were. I think we're going to call it like that, maybe. Yeah, I think that's actually how it looked. Now, where do I want to put the clip? I kind of like this, I think. I think I like it like that. Close enough. A lot of times it really doesn't matter that much. Man, these things are tight. If you're having extreme problems, like you really cannot get this thing, you know, to go to drive home. One thing that you can do is actually like physically sand the part, which I think I could get this one to you know, to actually press in there. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab some, let's try like a 400 grit. So what you can do is just like literally sand it. Now make sure that you're not sanding a part, like, you know, you're not scratching the components and certain things. You got to be very careful. This thing pretty much the whole thing's just going in inside, so I'm not worried about it right here. But you can just like sand this down. Let's widen this out a little bit. I don't want to get the dust on the pen. You know? Sometimes it just takes a little bit. You can sand the part down just a hair, and it'll help you to, you know, get these things landed home. And on the opposite side, if it just slides in and falls out, like it's not tight at all, then just add a little drop of CA glue and you're good to go. All right, so how did I have this? Let's see here. I think I had it kind of on the green. I like this part, and then I think I kind of like, I think it was like this. See, that little bit of sanding made that, I mean, it went in much easier. I don't know that I would have needed to on this specific kit, but you know, it just to let you know, you can kind of sand these parts down if you're just having nothing but fits trying to get it, you know, together. There we go. Oh, actually, I had the, I'm gonna redo that. The nice thing about cigars is you can very easily redo, you know, where it goes. Nothing's sticky. Like that. There we go. I like it. Okay, so let's do a little bit of lights out action. See what this pen looks like. I'm gonna get this whatever, that thing out of the way. I'm gonna turn off this light now. Grab the light. Let's see how this does, if we can pick it up. I'm going to kind of zoom in here. I don't know how this is going to work. Oh, good. I'm on camera. Make sure that I'm on camera here. Everything's like in reverse on this camera. Trying to do stuff, move it around, and here we go. Pretty cool. There we go. There's more light over here with my monitors and everything are right here, so it's not picking it up as well as the other one. Let's actually go over to the other camera. I think it might pick it up even better over there. Let me switch to the Canon. Let's try this over here because it's just darker. A little easier for me to see what's going on too over here. The front half of this blank is super bright, but you can see like the back end. If I had to guess, I would say that the glow powder did sink down like that. I mean, the entire bottom half is totally like glow powder, but the very top of this one, the other end, you're only getting like, you know, half maybe. But it looks good. Definitely looks good during the day, and it's actually kind of an interesting effect. Having the glow powder on one end, Oh, that's the wrong thing. That Sony cam. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. All right, let me go turn the lights back on. So what do you guys think? Glow powder, yay or nay? And there we go. Here we go. Let's see here. Oh, you got kit. So yeah, I don't think that they sent the kits out without the parts. I think I actually took it out of there. That does suck when you don't get the parts. The one thing that did happen to me was I bought some kit that was like stainless steel or something. Like it was kind of a different kit, and it had threads that were like messed up. They need to be like chased, kind of. That, because I can't use it. I really want to use it. Grilling and chilling, Dominic. Nice. I like it. David's doing some 3D printing. That's cool. You're not thrilled about it? Has to be all glow. Yeah. The difference is I do have a couple of the just all glow blanks too. I'm not sure how they're gonna like turn out. I mean, obviously it's gonna be the same colors and all that stuff as what we just looked at, but they're less impressive in blank form. I think once you turn into them, they're gonna be, you know, it's the same exact colors that are in here minus the green and the orange. But you know, these will glow entirely. But I wanted to see, you know, what happened with the neon stuff. I have a feeling, like I said, I'm going to go back and look at the footage, you know, of pouring it, and you guys can do that beforehand as well. Just go and watch I think it was like 2 weeks ago, or 2 episodes ago, not weeks per se. I'm gonna go to my channel real quick. I can even drop a link here real quick. Yeah, so just two ago. It's just called resin casting with eye candy glow powders. But I'll put a link to this if you guys want to like scroll through and see how I poured those. Because the thing is, if I poured some of the neon down in first and then poured glow powders over it, I'm thinking that it displaced it, possibly. So it'll kind of depend on how I actually poured it. Now, maybe I just said, we're not going to win on this, like it's going to sink. And maybe I just poured glow powder on the bottom and then neon on top and just said, I don't want to mess with it. I can't remember what I did though. You never know what you're going to get. I know, that's true. Who writes in the dark? I know. Yeah, I think it's a win. I think it's a pretty nice looking pen. I'll give you guys another shot of it. I don't think I showed you the. Let's look at it. I mean, this is pretty nice. And that's the big thing about some of those glow powders. If you just use the standard glow powders, like I have some. So this one's like an aqua glow. This is like the standard, and that's what it looks. I mean, you can't even see it. It's blown out. It's just like white, kind of almost has like maybe a slightly green tint to it. But when you put it in resin, it's just going to look milky. It's going to be very see-through. Now you can add dye to that, so that can help out for during the day. But the dye that you add is going to affect how glowy it is. So it's a double-edged sword in a way. But if all you did was put that stuff in, it's going to look terrible during the day. That's what I like about these things, is they have the tint, you know, the colors to them during the day, and I mean that looks great. Now again, I did add. I'm using white powder-coated tubes in this, and so I'm pretty sure a lot of this, the yellow area, I'm pretty sure you can see straight through on that, pretty close to seeing through it. I think I can see the whiteness of the tube, but I actually don't even see any glue splotches or anything like that. So that's why that's part of the reason why I was adding so much of the glow powder into the resin, is so that we could make sure that it's not, like totally see-through. But yeah, I think it looks great. We'll put it under the camera again. What am I doing? Here we go. There it is. Yeah. Try and get the glare off of it a little bit. No, it's not. Everything's backwards on this thing. I'm looking at the screen and it's moving, and it's all backwards to where the camera. Oh, it's not even focusing on it. I'm digging it. I like it. I think it's a good one. So again, if anybody is interested in picking up these blanks, they're probably going to look like that, where it's kind of like a glow on one end and like the neon colors at the other end, which is maybe how I poured it. I'm not sure. It does look like rainbow sherbet. But I got 3 left, so if anybody's interested, shoot me an email or let me know in the chat here or Instagram. I check that usually. So just let me know if you guys want any of those things, and then I'll probably be posting them sometime on Instagram as well, I guess, just to kind of let me know. And then the way it'll work is I'll just shoot you an invoice. So anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed watching this come together. It was fun. I'm not sure exactly yet. I don't have a game plan for next week. Again, like I said, we're moving on the 10th, which, so Saturday, and then it's like the Monday, I think. And there shouldn't be any problem. We should be good to go for next week's stream, unless something weird happens that I got to take care of on Saturday before that move. So if it's canceled for some reason, that's what happened. But I really, that's like a 99% chance that we're going to be doing the stream next week. I think it'll be pretty good. These guys are going to be 15 because I had to pay for the glow, and I used up all the glow powder on these things. So they're $15 each if anybody wants one, plus shipping, of course. So just let me know. But yeah, let's see here. Is there anything else going on? I'm looking around. One little bit of news. I've been working on lots of different new designs for blanks, and I actually have some that are going to be launching soon. I'm just trying to wait to get everything kind of situated and all that stuff. I got to get pictures. I got to come up with an idea of how I'm going to share and launch these things. But there's going to be new blanks coming pretty soon here. I got some new cool, like the vertical pours and like the ones for kitless pens and all that stuff. But one thing that I did want to mention, I don't think I've mentioned this on the stream yet. Maybe not, but I am going to pull up a link. I did go back and I've changed the tint, the color of the Think Pink blanks. It was a little bit on the brighter, kind of redder end of the spectrum for a pink. It was like kind of a hot pink. So I changed the colors. I went back to the drawing board, and I'm super happy with these now. So these were the breast cancer inspired blanks, but it's just pink and white with the swirls, and I poured them vertically. So these guys, this is not polished. This one's polished. I don't know if you can even see that. I think it's probably reflecting off the camera, the lights. So those are available. I linked to them if anybody wants any of those guys. They're a newish, an update to an old favorite, let's say. But there's going to be some new ones coming. It's tough, like being in the middle of moving, and I got all kinds of things going on with my parents right now that I got to take care of. So I'm just trying to I want to be ready so that I'm not like, oh, I can't make more for some reason or whatever. So coming soon. So yeah, the move's going to be fun. Tim wants 3. Sweet. All right. Well, they're yours, my friend. All right, guys. So I'll put these aside for you. And if anybody, well, let's see here. I have a feeling that Kid Cooper might have dibs on this pen, so I'm going to wait a little bit. But if he doesn't want this pen, then it will be available as well. if anybody wants a glow in the dark pen, if you know, write in the dark for any reason. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching today. I'm glad to be back in the shop and doing some fun stuff. We'll do something kind of cool next week. Maybe we'll work on, we got a really cool idea coming up, but this is not the right time to do it. We can't do the koa because it's not going to be ready, but I'll come up with something fun. I don't know. I'm just trying to think and let you guys know what to expect next week, but it's going to be a surprise, I think. So I'll come up with something cool this week, and we'll be back in action on Saturday, 2 p.m. Pacific time, and it should be pretty fun. So the blue with silver in it. I'm not sure which one that is. Blue. Yeah, that might be the aqua, but I've actually pulled that one. I'm moving, if it's just Alumilite clear swirls, I'm moving to vertical, like the round ones, to save on resin, number one. And you can pour, I'm not going to pour really long square blanks. I don't want to get into that because you got to put a pressure pot on its side and do all this stuff. So I'm doing all that stuff. I'm trying to move just like color swirl, aside from the team color blanks, because that's made with Alumilite white and you can't pour that in tubes. It's just, you got 2-minute working time, it wouldn't work. But all the other color swirl blanks, they're going to be poured vertically from now on. So I've kind of changed that. I have one called aqua that not aqua. The old one was aqua. The new one's called pool party. Doesn't have silver in it, but I could add that if you wanted special blanks, but it's got 3 different colors of blue in it, which I think is actually better than the original aqua. So just to let you know, it was a round one. Yeah, it's the pool party one, I think. It's actually just 3 colors of blue, 3 shades. It's pretty fun. I love that one. That one's good. And that's actually something, just to let you guys know. Do I have any? I don't have any pool parties here. Sorry guys, I can't show you the pool party. It's available on my website though. I can get a link for you, for anybody that wants to look at it. So just to let you guys all know, these are all of the vertical pour blanks are under the special editions currently. They're going to be moved. I'm going to call the ones that are like vertical pour, all these types of things. They're going to be called artisan blanks soon, just to differentiate them. I try to make it like obvious with my products, as obvious as I can, what type of thing is going on with them. And with the artisan blanks, they will vary in how much mica powder sometimes will be in them. There may be transparent areas. Typically, most of my blanks, I try to just load up with micas, but with the kitless pens, you don't have the tube. And so there's a lot of opportunity to kind of play with slightly transparent or even transparent blanks. So I'm going to be kind of switching things up probably in the fall. But for now, they're all under the special editions currently. All the new things that are popping out here. There's a link to that. It looks like silver. That's not. I know. Well, and it took me a while. I mean, I've been all these new blanks that I'm creating that are vertical pour. I'm doing a lot of testing on it because I have less experience pouring vertically in the first place. And again, in the past, I would always make them like opaque, like totally opaque as much as I possibly could, because I was really focused on, like kit pen turners, like kind of traditional pen turners. I really never focused any of what I was making on kitless blanks or kitless fountain pens. But that's what I'm doing, is I'm kind of shifting. One of the problems is the cost of resin went up, and the advantage of pouring in a tube and not having excess, like the corners that are just wasted resin, along with pouring in a brick. I can make 6 blanks with this, but then I cut it 5 times, or 4 or 5. And so you got an 1/8 inch kerf cut that's wasted resin. So one of the reasons that I switched, or that I'm like kind of moving a lot of things to the vertical pour, is instead of me raising prices because resin is costing 30% more, I'm trying to save money and not just have wasted resin type thing. So but like I said, and it's forced me to kind of learn a little bit more about, vertical pouring and how things come out and what different things, techniques, which we've done on the stream. I've shared that. So go back and look in the previous live stream replays. We've played with a lot of that stuff, but it still takes practice, you know, and so I've been kind of playing with colors and being kind of like mad scientist a little bit here. And we've done a lot of it, honestly, on the stream too, but, you know, I got to keep some secrets, you know. So anyway, guys, I got to get going. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll be posting the final product and all that stuff on the Instagrams and all that stuff. These are yours, Tim, so I will shoot you an invoice on through email. But anyway, guys, I hope you have a great evening. I hope you have a great 4th of July if you're in the States. Get some barbecue, maybe watch some baseball, whatever, picnic. Have some fun with friends and family. Eat. That's what we're going to do. And go get an ice cream, because that's my little tradition. Like 4th of July comes around and I'm like, I'm going to go get some ice cream. That just seems American to me. So anyway, guys, have a great evening. I will see you guys next Saturday, 2 p.m. Pacific time, and we will do a little bit of resin casting. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.